WrestleZone! Doom. 3, 4, 2, 1, bong! Someone's coming out. It's the Royal Rumble, the biggest wrestling show until we get to WrestleMania. It's the Royal Rumble. You'll bet on it. Then you'll take a drink when the wrong number comes out. Maybe you'll bet on it and you'll win money. Who knows? And
then you'll take a bigger drink because you won money.
Tell him, Robert DeFelice. I'm Kevin Kellam. Also joining us, Dominic DeAngelo, and the boss man of WrestleZone, Bill Pritchard. We're running down the Royal Rumble this Sunday on the WWE Network before it moves to Peacock. And you could win these. You could win these. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you know what I'm holding. It's Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Could this be the WrestleMania main event? You could bring it home. WWE Elite Mattel action figures. Keep following us on our Twitter and our Facebook. Find out how you can win these, and we're going to announce the winners during our post show for the Rumble on Sunday night when we're streaming live to you worldwide. Let's get into the news, though. Before we talk Rumble, we're talking about the rumblings in the media world of WWE. Maybe the biggest media move they've ever made. WWE Network launched 6 years ago and proved that WWE could take their library and all the different things that they've purchased, dominating WCW, going and getting world-class championship wrestling, 17,000 hours of on-demand footage, plus all of their concurrently developing programming on weekly, and turn it into their own thing. Now that thing is an NBC thing. The WWE Network will move to Peacock, NBC Universal streaming service, on March 18th, just a few days before the WWE Fastlane pay-per-view and just about a month before WrestleMania. This is a massive move, which Variety reports is locked in for 5 years and is worth an estimated $1 billion. This is easily the biggest media deal done recently in WWE. This is their third billion-dollar deal in just the last few years. Bill, how big is this move?
Huge.
It's the biggest. I called Vince. I congratulated him on this deal. Wonderful deal. And Robert is putting pinky to lip as well. This is a massive deal. Robert, when you saw this move, what did you think? Did it blow your mind? Because a lot of people are still trying to process this thing.
I genuinely thought I chose the best day to wake up at 6:30 because the news is breaking early. That's what I thought. This was my initial thought process.
I woke up the same way. I had one of you guys message me. I had the WWE corporate email alert. I had one of my friends text me, and I'm looking like stumbling out of bed. My wife's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, WWE's going to Peacock. I got to do it. And I'm like, literally, I run downstairs and grab my computer.
It's something that only like
wake up the kids. There's been a massive media business merger.
Peacock.
It's Peacock. Only we can understand because immediately you go, oh boy, it's going to be a big news day for us. I went through some emotions because at first I thought, okay, so they're on Peacock, fine. And then I realized, oh, they're getting rid of the network altogether and it's going to be consolidated into Peacock. That's for us. That's for Americans. Mm-hmm. If you're watching elsewhere, I think in Canada, it's with your cable provider.
It's worth noting they're still calling it the WWE Network. And they kind of emphasize that at what they announced it online. I think there's a lot of confusion about that, and we'll kind of clear some of those things up. And there's going to be. It's just a big change for a lot of people. But they are still branding this as the WWE Network on Peacock. Dom, what did you think? What was your reaction when this happened?
Well, I was up at that point in time.
Everybody gets up early before me.
I had to be up, but
he's gonna get the Whole Foods early for the old men.
I know. I have to.
You got to see the geriatrics.
They get the first hour to shop for themselves, and
I have to feel the avocados bright and early.
Is that what they're calling them now?
They're grapefruits.
Yeah. It's the avocados, baby.
But if you know about Dominic DeAngelo's fascination with, as he put it, old men, you can listen to our Impact post-wrestling show from yesterday, and we had a lot of fun. If you don't follow Impact, at least go listen to our Impact post-wrestling shows because we had a ridiculous amount of fun. We're going to continue that here with the very fun foursome here. But Dom, your thoughts on WWE Network moving to Peacock?
Yeah, like it took me a little bit to process it in certain ways, because I was like, okay, is this a good deal? I was texting with you guys. I was like, is this a good deal for them? Like, how is this? Because I'm trying to do the math in my head while I'm at work and everything, and trying to decipher it all. Ultimately, yeah, it's a good move. $5 a month is a screaming deal for people. Plus, you get the extra content of The Office, SNL. I don't know. It's very, very solid. Plus, Saved by the Bell too, right? So. Definitely a big swing for wrestling fans, and big for WWE, because like we mentioned, you can rope in some casual fans by doing this and having that in the mix of all your primetime television that people are clamoring to see on the Peacock network.
And this puts the WWE brand right next to shows like you mentioned. They get the rub. You know, when it was the WWE network, it was just WWE. That's all. You were a hardcore fan. You bought it from them. You were the 1 to 2 million people in the United States that got it, maybe more around the world, you know, and every different part of the region has a different thing. Sometimes it's paid to a cable system, like in Canada, you have to get through a cable system. Here, you're getting it through, you know, maybe one of the fastest rising streaming services. 20 million plus people are having this service. I think it's also worth noting is this is ran by Comcast, which is one of the biggest cable companies in the United States. They own NBC Universal. It's one thing together. A lot of people may not even know that they have this service and they have cable. So it's still a relatively new thing that launched in July. And you get the rub of being next to Office, being next to the SNL, and all those different things. And people that are lapsed fans are who they're shooting for here, right, Robert?
Yes. I think, first of all, you have to address the elephant in the room. They are moving away from their own thing entirely. Somebody is going to say that this is them admitting failure. I think it was our very own Ross Berman. Shout out to him, listen to Thomas Island, who said, it's like cutting off and cooking your own foot and then saying that you're thriving, even though you're clearly just removing a vital part of you. With WWE, they get to link up to Comcast, who's already been their media partner for decades. Like, you go back at Saturday Night's Main Event. I want these back on Peacock. Saturday Night's Main Event. Here's the thing.
That's a great idea.
I subscribed immediately as soon as the announcement was made, because it's one of the only subscriptions I didn't already have. And my first thought was, oh, I get it. Peacock needs content. And nobody has content like WWE.
And they have progressive content. They're constantly putting out more and more and more and more stuff.
Correct.
And they have a dedicated fan base to it. This is NBC Universal trying to get their Star Wars. Like Disney did, they have their own universe. They want to tap into that type of fan base that's dedicated, that's on board. Bill, the long game on this. The short game is exciting. The long game, where do you see this going, moving in the years ahead for WWE and NBC?
I think it's all dependent on how successful this is, but I could honestly see in 5 years talk of SmackDown coming over, like depending on how successful it is. Like I think Fox would make a push and they say they're happy going into year 2 and everything, but streaming's the future. It's a fantastic deal. You have the graphic up on the screen right now. You could potentially get WWE for half of what you're paying right now. Like, it's not a bad deal.
And you're getting a lot more.
You're getting,
So, I mean, I think this is a win-win. This is a win-win for everybody here.
You can look at it as being a loss leader, and it depends on, whether you're NBC or WWE or a fan, but NBC's getting all of this content and potentially growing their audience on every single thing they have, whether it's archives, current shows, web exclusives, like whatever it is. And then in turn, WWE potentially gets all of the casual fans that were there for, the golden era, the attitude era, all the quote unquote lapsed fans and casuals. So it's not a bad idea for anybody. The only person that thinks it's a bad idea is just somebody that didn't read our article and wants to know where's my app going.
Can we get into that? Because we announced this. I do a breaking news video about it where I explain all the details and basically everything that we have in the article. Here it is. If you're just joining us, here we go. This is going to be a big issue. You know this, Rob or Dom. wrestling fans are creatures of habit. You build up the habit. All right, when you move to a different night, you have to get me to adjust, and I'm going to bitch about it, but you get me on board. Dom, does this piss you off? If you're like, I'm paying my money for this, now you're making me move over to that. But the thing is with Peacock, it's really on almost every single device. I think the only thing it's not on is Amazon, and it's cheaper, right? I mean, do you think it's just wrestling fans who are creatures of habit, and they, as Bill said, don't want to give us one simple click and read all the details?
I think, I mean, to an extent, everybody's a creature of habit if you're a fan of anything. But if you, wrestling, you already associate wrestling with Monday night. You associate wrestling, with pay-per-views, everything like that. So, I mean, this whole streaming society and stuff is an adjustment for people and a change for people. So it's going to be a progressive thing. And you look at it even back when the network first started, WWE was one of the very first streaming services to make note of. So, I mean, the fact that
it really shifted the whole wrestling industry in that direction.
It shifted the whole entertainment industry.
So, you look at it from that way, they didn't, from their subscriber count was debatable, and a lot of some people said they had these high expectations starting off. They really shot for the moon initially, and they did not get that number whatsoever. But so for them to just go to Peacock and stuff, I don't understand how it could be look at it as a failure or anything like that. It's just a change. That's all it is. It's a change.
I think the instant reaction to a lot of people, and I don't want to alienate people who watch the show or even wrestling promotions to a degree, the people who want you to subscribe and pay your $10 for IWTV and tell you that Limitless Wrestling is what you need to be watching instead of WWE are the people who are sitting there saying, it's going downhill. Look at that. They're taking the blood money.
And then look at this. Then you look at what this deal is worth, and this is WB saying us shoring up all of this content, and now you get it from us. They've made their money back on the WWE Network within a year. They were already on. They were in the black with them.
I wish I could fail upward the way WWE fails upward. Okay,
you're talking about Monday Night Raw and different things that make you mad about the show. But if you look at the back end of this, I was like, this makes sense. This is why you went and bought those tape libraries.
Let's talk about Monday Night Raw. We can complain about the whole 3 hours all we want. It was the highest rated television show this week. You don't get to get around that just because you don't like the product. And I think I can speak for all of us when we say we're not crazy about the current product. But that being said, WWE is still viable. Is WWE Disney? Hell no. That is a lofty goal that they have ways to go.
They really don't need to be, but they want to make Disney.
They want to be. I mean, they wish they were.
Anybody in entertainment should want to be these things. But
but I don't know. I mean, do you really think they saw, we're going to go on NBC's streaming app when they started buying the tape libraries? No, they just wanted to be a monopoly. But bigger picture thinking, I think, whether you want to call them evil empire or not, everybody should want to be Disney.
Yeah,
they're a worldwide billion dollar brand. So I love Disney Plus.
Why wouldn't you want to be that? That's.
I just I don't ask them anything besides I want my Star Wars original trilogy theatrical version in 4K, but I don't tell them to do anything else.
My 4K restoration.
You know what I mean?
Is an S-tier app, and for that matter, so was the network. And now WWE can spin this and say Comcast has hitched its wagon to us. It's us and SNL and The Office.
Yeah,
we mean that much. We are that valuable to entertainment. And a lot of people can complain that I can't search S.A. Rios anymore and find immediate matches.
That was the biggest thing I heard people complain about. It's they're going to change the search interface and I can't find this really obscure wrestling thing.
On a personal, I don't like the current interface of the network.
Wasn't it bad anyways? That's what I heard.
So I think
search on WWE.com has sucked for 10 years. You're going to get somebody to fix the app? You look for
it might be a better shot at this point, though. With NBC,
they don't. I think that's another
thing. They don't have to worry about their own infrastructure now. They can pass that off to NBC, and here's the content.
They're going to save millions of dollars not having to have that. They're going to save a lot of money not having to do the MLB BAM thing or the entire back end that you have to do for stuff like that. They're certainly going to build an interface of some kind to connect it and help mitigation. That's another thing is people are talking about, if I'm still a WWE Network subscriber, what happens to my subscription? Do I just get mitigated over? Does it get moved over? Those things are still kind of being worked on from what we can tell, Bill. Has there been any movement on that, Bill, or are we just kind of waiting to see how things play out in that early part of March before the switch gets flipped on the 18th?
It's kind of like a fluid situation. The initial release made it seem like they're just going to migrate you over.
Yeah, I think it's good to go as far as we're actually moving. Is it going to go well? Probably not. I would think the easiest thing, and how easy it is another thing, because you're talking about an app inside of an app and all that. But I would think that Peacock is literally just going to be a landing page for the WWE Network. Yeah. Once you click on the WWE icon, you should still see the same exact app. If anything changes, it's going to say WWE on Peacock.
Yeah, I don't think there's even going to be
anything changing.
I don't think there's even going to be the designated app. I think they're going to tell you, you're in the United States, please download Peacock.
But if you're on Peacock, it's not like they're going to upload all of this stuff to Peacock. It should just take you to the WWE page.
Well, I believe that they already have.
Because you have to keep in mind, internationally, they're not getting rid of the app. So they still have to
it's true.
build that app. So they're going to make it as easy of a job as possible. But I just think you might see a specifically Peacock branded part of that just, it's a landing page, like a redirect.
As it stands right now, they have a WWE section because they do have the best of on there. They have got the Monday Night War on there, then some other things. I think that will just expand. Here's the other thing we haven't touched on. Peacock has a live 24/7 channel.
That's how you're going to get so if you're just getting this type of stuff just for live events and you want the monthly pay-per-view, as a majority of people do get these things for, you're still going to have all that. I've been with Peacock since it started because I'm a big SNL fan. And the thing that also made me stay watching it is they made an SNL channel that just randomly plays SNL. And when I was scrolling through it, I was like, they could easily get a wrestling channel. Even if it wasn't the WWE Network, they could easily just do things of just random classic stuff. But they already have the setup for this. And it's different. NBC is leveraging their thing to be different from a Disney Plus and a Netflix and even a Hulu. Hulu does have a live portion. You have to pay more for it. And it's kind of like that bridge. Whereas NBC is saying, no, we're going to take what Hulu's doing with live TV. We're going to give you everything you want with Netflix and Disney Plus in terms of the on-demand presentation. But we're also live in this thing. And so now what's a bigger live project for wrestling fans than wrestling pay-per-views? And WrestleMania is going to be on Peacock. That's where you're going to get it.
They're starting
the first show.
No, it's not going to be the first show. The first show is going to be Fastlane.
I'm saying Fastlane is going to be it. But WrestleMania is going to be the first one that people are kind of talking about, I think, in mass. I'm not saying that. Yeah, so it launches once again March 18th is when the switch happens, and then Fastlane will be that following Sunday on March 21st. Of course, WrestleMania going down in mid-April as well on WWE Network through Peacock. So a good move. I'm for it. I'm thumbs up on this thing. I think it's a great move. I think it's easy. It's an app I have. It's cheaper. You're going to save money. And if you have your cable through Comcast, you likely already have this. That's another thing is people may not even know that they have this. So you may not even have to pay for more money for it. So thumbs up on this. But another part of this is another media change. It involves WWE NXT. We will talk about Royal Rumble in a moment. Plenty to talk about with that. NXT, the day before we had this news, and it was rumbling over the weekend, is that there would be changes at the USA Network. NBC making another big move is they're phasing out the NBC Sports cable network. All right. And they're moving all that sports coverage to other cable channels they have.
Mostly Peacock.
Yeah, so it's going to be USA Network. They're going to move NASCAR and NHL. NHL has a majority of its games on Wednesday night. That's the same night that NXT airs on. And so the point is, what's happening with NXT? Are they going to be moved to Peacock? Are they going to stay on Wednesdays? Are they going to get preempted a lot? So then you're going to catch those preempted episodes on Peacock. There's a lot going on here, Bill. And obviously, Dominic, you are AEW guys, and I want to know where you sound off on this thing. But Bill, what's going on with NXT in this mix? Because it does seem like maybe, hey, we took our $1 billion deal, but we'll take brand 3 and maybe get it off cable TV.
I don't think anything, to be honest. Like, all I knew about NBC SN was it was a channel that people bitched about because they took NASCAR off of the regular station and tried to force people to watch it there. Talk about you mentioned Ross cutting off your foot and saying like, oh yeah, we're prospering. WWE would be doing that like by taking NXT off of USA, where it's like one of the biggest as far as like, you know, one of the most popular cable stations.
Yes.
And you're going to put it on a station that you have to pay extra for. Like, that makes no sense. Like, if you want to talk about wrestling promotions having reach, like Impact would be doing much better if they weren't on Access, which you have to like add to your basic cable package. But you can get USA on Sling, cable, Fios, like DirecTV, whatever you have. Like, USA is always on there. It's like, it's popular. They'd be shooting themselves in the foot by moving it. I think short-term to Peacock. I like the deal no matter what. But putting NXT as an exclusive on there, it's not a realistic short-term goal. But as we were talking about before, the replays might be what leads people into watching the live stuff. But
because they're going to reach a lot more people on Peacock than maybe they normally would. And they're already kind of like, all right, we're chasing for exposure when we're competing with AEW head-to-head in this cable TV fight. If we just go this route, is that a way to subvert it? And then there's also the talk of, do you take NXT, which has been going head-to-head with AEW? I want to follow it with you, Dom, here. Do they move it to a different night? If NHL is going to be on USA Network on Wednesday night, does NXT move to a Tuesday or a Thursday? Dom, you have the outside perspective. You're rooting for AEW. That's the show you're covering. Two Dynamite Dudes. It's our exclusive show about AEW every Friday into Saturday. Check that out on our podcast feed. Dom, what's your you wear the AEW hat in this conversation? Where do you see this thing going?
I mean, you know, you can see it either way. I mean, I think it kind of, I mentioned this in our chat, is like it could give WWE like, you know, they could look at it as a loss. Like a lot of people would chalk, hey, you know, they lost the ratings war against AEW because of what you see week in and week out. But I mean, this could give them a reason to move. A perfect reason to move is to go to a different day if they want to hold on to like Pride or anything like that and be like, no, you know what? You know, we got
the deal. I mean, that's another thing we're saying is that this isn't like the show's getting canceled. They still have a deal for this TV show.
You know what? Ultimately, you move NXT off of Wednesday nights. I think even if it's just by a little bit, the viewership will go up because
or Dynamite, you mean?
Well, wait, what do you mean? Like if they move
Dynamite's going to naturally benefit if NXT's not there on Wednesday.
Oh, sure, yeah, Dynamite will boost up it. Yeah, I think viewership, but like it's the same thing will go for NXT though too. If you move it to like, you know, another night where wrestling fans can watch that as well. I mean, like if my night was free, I'd be watching NXT too if I had the opportunity, but I just don't. So, it's
competing for time, man. You got so many options now. That's
right.
Part of it.
There's plenty more things to give it to. So
overall, just it's a lot of shakeup, but I don't think it's a bad shakeup. I think it's a positive one, and it's smart move. We're in adaptive times. Adapt.
Question though, for you guys, real quick. Sure. Do you think them moving to Peacock? I know a lot of the talk when they moved
the cock. Yeah.
Wow.
Bill, you owe me a Coke. Jinx.
I have a nice Mountain Dew Zero Sugar instead.
Oh yeah.
So when they moved the pay-per-views to the network, I know a lot of the discussion was, is this going to give WWE more motivation to like put on a better monthly product week to week when it comes to pay-per-views? This jump to Peacock, do you think this is going to motivate them or create more of a sense of complacency in how they, produce a monthly product on pay-per-views from a pay-per-view perspective?
Robert?
Total complacency. Because they're no longer the driving force. And maybe there are minimal expectations from the side of NBC Universal to see WWE boost these numbers, but you're not even selling the current product. You're not. Except for maybe WrestleMania, maybe SummerSlam, and maybe next January at the Royal Rumble. You're not selling the current product. You're selling. Check out Peacock because you can get Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and The Office and SNL. Oh, and by the way, Fastlane's here too. So it's like, I think it's almost more complacent because, again, they're still the dominant ratings leader. They're still the number one leader in wrestling. They don't have to try harder.
The number one leader in sports entertainment.
I was going to say that, but it felt too wooden.
The worldwide leader in sports entertainment.
In 100 countries, in over 7 different languages. Worldwide leader in sports entertainment.
Come on, that opening when the logo's just flying for whatever reason over a canyon, it was great stuff. Always love some old school things like that.
What the world is watching.
What the world is watching. What Peacock is watching. So I'm of the thought that I think there will be a fire lit under WWE's ass in this way. And I think there was a fire lit under their ass when they signed those new deals with Fox. And maybe they'll cool down and we'll get some redundancy in some different things. I do think this puts pressure on a new amplified pressure on that show on March 21st, on that Fastlane pay-per-view. I think there will be a pressure on that show to have something that just doesn't feel like another pay-per-view, a holding pattern show before Mania. No, I think there'll be something on there and maybe fans don't buy it that way, but WWE in a pitch room is going to work on something for that show on the 21st or at least they already have it, to make that show pop a little bit more. I just think the integration of them with NBC is smarter. WWE's going in this direction anyway. We've seen it for a while now. And also, what is Fox thinking here? Because they got the most watched show, and then you guys went and did this deal with them. So it's a whole thing. Royal Rumble. We had a lot of media talk here, 27 minutes in. But Royal Rumble is this Sunday. I love me the Royal Rumble, Bill. Even a bad Royal Rumble is still better than most shows. It's just a feel-good show. How do you feel about the Royal Rumble coming up this Sunday?
I'm excited because I don't have to do live coverage of it. I always used to despise the Royal Rumble because I would have to sit there and watch the entire thing. And it's just, typing for that long is a very tedious show. It's tedious, and, much respect to everyone that does it for us and all around the internet. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it because there's no clear definitive winner. We could have Edge, we could have Daniel Bryan, we could have anybody else. Like, who knows? Maybe Goldberg loses the title match and still wins the Royal Rumble. Like, it would be a wonderful Monday news day. But
WrestleZone said
maybe Moose will enter the Royal Rumble.
I don't think Moose will enter the Royal Rumble.
That's the crossover we need.
That's really not. So this is one of the first Royal Rumbles in a while where it feels open wide. As much as it feels case closed, Daniel Bryan, then you throw in Edge, who basically said...
Edge really opened it up this week when he came back on Monday Night Raw, unadvertised, by the way. They just said it on the show. They didn't tell you before. And he comes out, cuts the best part of the show, great promo, and gives you very reasonable convictions for why he needs to win this match and get himself in the main event of WrestleMania, come back from an injury. And we thought this thing was Daniel Bryan, right, Tom? Now we got Edge in the mix, and he's calling for the big spot at WrestleMania. There is no favorite. There's just a handful of guys we think can do this, right?
Yeah, it's like, to you guys' point, it's like you usually have like one or two guys, specifically one that you're like, okay, this guy's gonna win it. The field's a little bit open now. But I will still stick with Daniel Bryan as my winner. But yeah, I'm excited for the pay-per-view coming up. Royal Rumble always holds a special place, as it does for a lot of fans. And I feel that the build to like Drew and Goldberg even's been pretty good. I feel ultimately
old guy. There we go. Like himself some old guy.
I honestly think that match will be short, but it'll exceed expectations because Drew's so good, and he looks like a champion, is the champ, and then you got like somebody that's an established talent as Goldberg in the mix. So I think, and then the Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens last man standing. I think that's a good combo of a match too. So I think they set themselves very well up this year. Now execution, we'll see how it goes.
I think if we go around the horn real quick, there's no. It would be financially irresponsible to bet against Bill Goldberg, ever.
Your money's on Goldberg.
How do you have any money left?
It's amazing.
You go on.
Amazing.
You buy Bret Hart and Razor Ramon jackets, and now you're betting on Goldberg.
Robert spent his De Niro DeFelice dropped Big De Niro this week on one of those designer chalk line jackets.
There you go.
He's going to show it off.
Animation jacket.
Wait for Sunday for the Razor Ramon jacket.
Okay. All right.
So I just think Goldberg is the guy. Goldberg will likely win this championship. The scary thing is, you guys haven't said the name of Brock Lesnar. If Brock Lesnar is viable in any time ever when WrestleMania season's in play, I think Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg at WrestleMania is a real scary possibility.
Are you going off of that hypothetical, like people are genuinely living in terror?
So I know what you're talking about from WrestleZone that basically said there's a nightmare scenario on the table.
Is that your are we all giving our nightmare scenario? Because
I'd imagine that's the nightmare scenario.
What's the thing that's gonna piss off the internet Sunday night? Let's find out.
I'd imagine that's the nightmare.
Is Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg again?
Yeah, because it's on the table, or at the very least, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns again. It's not like we've seen either one of those matches less.
If Brock Lesnar is one of those surprise entrants, 30 men, right? And there's a lot of entrants they haven't announced, by the way, and I'm okay with that. I like that they announced about half, and then the rest are kind of like up in the air. I'm all right with that. Yes, there will be surprises. It's the Royal Rumble. There will be people you have not seen on TV come back. And maybe one or two of them will be reintroduced to weekly television on SmackDown or Raw. Maybe you'll see someone from NXT come over as well. And a handful of fun just come back, feel good for the night surprises. I expect that in both the men and women's matches.
I think people are overhyping this. There's still a pandemic going on, y'all. Let's see.
30 people, though, each going in. I don't think WWE's has any qualms being in people. And you bring Ric Flair in on a weekly basis.
That's fair.
Did GCW or somebody do like a socially distanced battle royal yet? Am I dreaming?
I think the cock torture show, the Talking
Shop-a-mania.
Yeah. Okay, that was it. So, short of WWE doing that, which they won't, they're going to be like, oh, smiles on faces and sign pointing. It is what it is. Like, what are we going to do? Like, it's almost a year later.
They're going to do as much testing and try and bubble everybody.
They're going to make sure everybody's as safe as they can be.
Yeah.
So
they're going to pay for those, get your results in 10 minutes PCR tests that cost $300 a pop. I wouldn't say they know how to handle this better than they did when at beginning, but I think everyone sort of knows how to handle things at some level better. They're not doing this with fans. They're going to try and definitely have a big crowd at WrestleMania. That's a projective. They want it. They wanted something in January. Florida just didn't let them do it. Florida's letting them do everything, right, Robert? You're in Florida. You're in Tampa. Everything's off the hill.
Yeah, Florida's just letting stuff fly. They got the Super Bowl. They got the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. They're feeling pretty high right now.
Yeah. So it's going to be a big time. And I think maybe a little bit of that Super Bowl rub will be on WrestleMania as well, kind of coming off that event. So Rumble, though, I don't think a nightmare scenario happens. I think we get a feel-good win. I think WWE wants to go back to the hits right now, and that the pandemic has forced them, and that's why I think somebody who's an established name is going to win this. I don't think they're going to go with someone who's a young new superstar out of nowhere. You look at everyone they're kind of teasing as a possible person. It's been Cesaro, Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, now Edge for the men. For the women, it's a lot more open. For the women, I feel it's even more open as to who.
Really? The women, I think, is open and shut. It's Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, it's still open. It's still one or the other if you want to pull straws or whatever. But I mean, both of them would be pretty good winners. Like I feel like Bianca's like, still building off of last year, and everybody thought she should have won. And I mean, I would like to see Edge win the men's. Like, it's just, I want a feel-good story in a shitty year, and instead of
exactly. And if Daniel Bryan won, I think it'd be somewhat the same thing. He never won it; he always wanted it. And
I think he could get a title shot no matter what, though.
Yeah,
like it's easier for him to get there with Roman Reigns. There's something that tells me like we're gonna get Edge Orton at WrestleMania, because
that's nightmare scenario.
It's not nightmare, but it's like I feel like it's over. Like, why revisit that? Like, he doesn't need to get another win. Like,
I think give
us the feel good moment with the title win, and then go back to Orton.
Yeah,
the way Edge pitched it made it seem like he was kind of quietly moving on from Randy. The way he pitched it, as I just want to be champion, I just want my belt, I want to do this 10 years later. And the thing about Edge McIntyre, and it's the one line, if they go that route, I hope they go. Listen, kid, I've main evented in front of 20,000 people. You haven't. I'm going to be on home field. And that right there is everything you need to know. That being said, McIntyre would have to beat Goldberg. And that is the worst thing they could have done, because Goldberg and Roman had a story built in. These two don't, and it's scary. And because I think if you do Goldberg first, the winner of the Rumble has to be a SmackDown guy, because now the feel-good story is it's Daniel Bryan versus Roman. It's Cesaro versus Roman. I think the Edge thing works better with McIntyre.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, there's still this whole, whether it's literally like he's taking it literally, but like Goldberg's a superhero, he doesn't lose, and it's like
he's doing it for the children. Goldberg may be old, Dom.
Wu-Tang is for the children. Bill Goldberg is for the children. Just like, don't put him in the situation. Like, why?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, unless he has like creative control and we could speculate all we want, like, how about just be like, hey, Bill, no, we want to go a different way. Like, I think Edge winning and Edge McIntyre is so easy to do. It's a feel-good story. Not too many people are going to be pissed if Edge beats Drew McIntyre, because you have the feel-good story, and it sets up Edge for a heel turn if you want. And then you can like have a program with him where, like revisit Orton, be like, oh yeah, I brought the fire back out in you. You came back to like redeem yourself, and the only way you're going to do that is against me. Like, whatever, like fantasy book, whatever you want. But I just don't see, like, I don't see where you go with Bill Goldberg winning a title and then dropping it because he's literally only working 2 matches a year. And he already said he wants to face Orton or Roman Reigns again. So
honestly, I don't see it being Goldberg winning. I can see Drew McIntyre, I think, is going to win. And, Bill has put, he's taken losses before. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. Like,
and he's still a Hall of Famer. He's still Goldberg.
So it's going to be fine. And like his undefeated streak's long over. So, I mean, it's going to be fine. Like, I honestly do think Drew's going to persevere. It'll be the right move, and it'll be done in a good fashion. And as far as like, I think they could manage to make Edge, if he doesn't even win the Rumble, I think they could manage to make a good storyline out of him working his way to Drew McIntyre for a match at Mania. I mean, there's time to build to that. And but either way it plays out, I think I'm with Kev on it. They want to have a good, satisfactory ending to the Royal Rumble.
This is a time of year where people want certainty.
Something once, Yeah, and I think we'll get some sort of good payoff to cap off the Royal Rumble. If not, it's not the right choice otherwise. So
we think the women's, Robert, you think women's is locked into Rhea Ripley or Bianca Belair. I agree with that. I do think that's the one if they do want to do a swerve, that they could get swervy there.
I'll go a step further. I think it should just be Bianca. Even more than the men's, just play the song that people want you to play. Yeah. Don't overcomplicate this. Just let Bianca win. I mean, people are ready. People want it.
I never needed you at all.
I'm just going to let you do your thing.
After that obstacle course thing last week on SmackDown that on paper everyone was crapping on before it happened, and then it happened, and everyone's like, Bianca Belair is deadlifting Otis, a 300-pound man, on her shoulders and then doing a slam dunk. I'm on board. All right, I'm riding. I'm on the Bianca train all the way to WrestleMania. I will get anything. I want to buy some merch. I want to buy the song. I'm on board. EST all the way. I'm with you on that. But let's talk about this. You guys talking about title scenarios. Who wins a Rumble? They get the match at WrestleMania, right? But we have, as I mentioned, a swerve. There's one that's possible in the women's, right, if they want to go in a different direction. But we got The Miz walking around with the Money in the Bank briefcase. All right? And he's shaking it in people's face, left and right. And they did a big old...
Only way I'd be okay with.
Uh-oh.
Bill?
Now we wonder what he's okay with.
Bill, what happened? Bill,
really
he's deep in thought. He's deep in thought. You clipped out there, Bill. Finish your thought, bud.
I said I would accept Bill Goldberg winning if The Miz was the one to cash in and beat him. It's the only way I would accept a Goldberg win, but I don't even want that to happen, so go Drew McIntyre.
I think The Miz cashing in.
Can you write down the time in which you said that? I can pull up this clip when I need to.
Miz is going to Miz is the May cash in. He's the guy who, once the Mania stuff is over with and everybody needs to move on, then you bring in the Miz. It's not Sunday for Miz.
Listen, Miz
he's going to win at Fastlane. There you go.
Yeah. You know what, though? They would really act like that's a big deal. Oh, you should have tuned into Peacock because somebody captured in playing the bank briefcase.
Miz is a joke right now. Like, I cannot invest in him. And
more a joke than Otis, though. Like, he's still miles better than Otis.
At least Otis is more fresh. Like, he's got, he's a less of a person that we've seen over the course of the past, 10 years. Miz has been there, and Miz has been up and down. And finally, he's been at this point where it's just like, I cannot take him seriously. And to put him in such a main factor of a position of, your main title picture, it's so dumb. And that would be the nightmare scenario for me. Miz cashes in and wins the title. It's just, it will make zero sense at this point in time because the Miz is not attracting anybody to the television right now.
If he cashes in right now, he can lose it easily before WrestleMania.
He doesn't. It's not sticking with me.
Let's talk surprises. We've mentioned a few. Brock Lesnar showing up. He's not advertised for the show, but a lot of people think he's a possibility coming back and getting back in the mix is the featured player type role. And we had CM Punk being asked what his favorite number between 1 and 30 was, and he said 13. A lot of people thought that was him alluding to
I think that's a nightmare scenario. Imagine the audacity of WWE to bring back CM Punk in front of nobody. That's a nightmare scenario when you can pack a full house on the idea of CM Punk.
Well, you could definitely get some people to buy your network or buy your pay-per-view or buy your subscription services.
But you would have to advertise him.
True. But surprises talk, man. Social media would explode if that happened. Bill, who's the surprise you think that could show up at the Rumble that's out there? We have a couple of free agents floating around that aren't tied to contracts right now.
I don't really know about the men's, but Robert's talked about it quite enough. I think Taya Valkyrie maybe in the women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I keep going back to like how much are they going to do with COVID and all that. I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but I think Taya would be a good surprise in the women's. In the men's, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, why would they bring back CM Punk in front of no crowd unless they're going to try to CM Punk's in the Thunderdome. His next appearance is at Fastlane. Make sure you buy Peacock, and drag it out. But other than that, I don't know. I'm more focused on who actually is confirmed and less worried about who the surprises are, because I don't think anybody that's a surprise is going to win it. So
then there's the X factor of they're announcing the number 30 entrant for the men and the first and second entrant for the women on backstage.
Which they've always, not always done, but they've done it in the past and people are getting pissed. Why would you do that? It spoils the surprise. And I'm like,
I think,
where were you in the 90s and 2000s when they did it regularly? They had to fight and the loser was number one.
Right, but I think the way they're doing this sets you up for all right, so you're not even doing a storyline, you're just spoiling a surprise. Here's the thing.
Number 3 is more popular in recent years, I would say, especially because of AJ.
If they announced that number 30 is John Cena, now you're getting people to buy your
night before, dude. Dom, Robert, it's a great idea. If they wanted someone big name to come back, John Cena, it makes sense. He's possible. He said he wants to work big shows. This is a scenario. You have him come back the night before. Twitter explodes, right? Everyone says.
Then you got some casuals paying for the show because they're gonna hear John Cena. I think that's a possibility. I think you could announce coming in at where's Ryan Satin? Breaking news, I've confirmed that Eva Marie is actually with WWE 6 months after we all knew. They could do that. They could do the same thing with Melina. It doesn't, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I think if I had to hitch my wagon to one guy, it would be Edge, but I guess we'll see.
Speaking of hitching your wagon to a guy, Dom, what are your thoughts?
I was pitching to you, Dom. Sorry.
Booker T, I mean, they're having a song. Why wouldn't
I like it. And he's been training.
And he's got merch.
Right.
Booker T merch. He could be in the Rumble.
He could be the rapper Bad Bunny going to be performing on the show. He has a song called Booker T.
What if he raps him in?
Actually, I'm going to say it right now. Booker T will probably be the guy that they announced for number 30.
He's on that WWE backstage show on FS1.
He's on the show. He can say, "Oh, it's me." He can do scissors kick, spinner Rooney, get thrown out by the winner, and it is what it is.
Final Four, sucker. It's going to happen.
Final Four.
I don't think has he ever been in the Final Four. I don't know.
He will now. Calling it.
All right. If you want even more Royal Rumble, check out our Royal Rumble Trivia Challenge podcast that we just dropped. Wow, tons of content.
Real quick. Obviously, around the table, we don't need to drag this on. Roman Reigns is beating Kevin Owens. It doesn't matter if the match is good or bad. Roman Reigns is beating Kevin Owens.
I think these guys have had fantastic matches. Everyone's like, "Oh, they're doing it again," and Owens is just going to lose. I don't care. It's good. When something's good, it's good. I've loved Owens. I think he's gained a lot, even in not winning this title. And I think he'll be in something special at WrestleMania. I think he had a really underrated WrestleMania match last year with Seth Rollins. And maybe he gets to jump off that pirate ship like he wants, Bill, right?
I hope so. I mean, the second that it was announced, he posted the picture of it. So I'm hoping he gets his WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, I'm feeling this Rumble. I'm excited for it. It's the Rumble. It feels good. Raw was but I think SmackDown's really going to rev the engine up for it the right way. And I expect some cool surprises and some great stuff on Sunday night on the network, the last real big show they're going to do there before they get this thing onto Peacock. I'm looking forward to it. And if you want to stay on top of it, obviously WrestleZone.com is where you should go. We have all the confirmed entrants. Okay. You don't have to go clicking around. Well, this website says this. We got it all in one place. Okay. Tons of content for you to consume before we get there. We will have the Royal Yumble. The fast food Royal Yumble is going down right around 1 p.m. Central. Before we get there, a fast food video game fracas. We've talked about the Rumble. Let's talk a Yumble, baby.
I think 3 years in, we know that Ronald McDonald's going to be there.
Ronald McDonald's not your favorite. Coca-Cola Bear has been all coked up.
Yes, the Coca-Cola Bear is great.
We are now introducing possibly the Sheets Freak For those in the North,
I'm looking for an example of that. I have not seen this. We'll find it.
I'm told it's an old man. That's their mascot. Is the Sheetz is a gas station in the Northeast that has an old man as a mascot. Dom, you know more about this than I do.
I remember being outside of a Sheetz.
What happened to Dom? What happened to him?
He was outside of a Sheetz, and
he's outside of his Sheetz. Dom, you blipped out there for a second. Tell me.
Oh, it was outside of the Sheetz, and then everybody's bleeping out. Am I losing it? But it was a big inflatable guy, and it looked like Super Mario. But I think that might have been the Sheetz freak, if you could still hear me.
Okay.
All right.
There's a
Bill,
Sheetz freak.
Who's your favorite? Who's your fast food mascot favorite for Sunday in the Yumble?
Do we have the Chick-fil-A cow?
We have 2 Chick-fil-A cows.
I'm kicking cow A.
Chick-fil-A cow number 1, Chick-fil-A cow number 2 will be there. There might be Isaac Yankum. There might be, Mario was in the last one. Randy Savage.
We just put Mario in there. I remember when I asked you, why is Mario in there? He's like, I want Mario in there.
Because he's been on cereal boxes. Anything counts.
Does Fred Flintstone?
Fred Flintstone could count. You never know. I mean, Barney let go by pebbles. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The Tricks Rabbit will be there. You want Bad Bunny? There's your Bad Bunny. We got a Bad Bunny inside the damn Royal Yumble, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to make it work. Listen, the Yumble is a great experience. Come and just chill and preview the Rumble with me and Kevin. By that point, I'm sure a bunch of Rumble rumors would have leaked and we'll be talking about them. Stay tuned to Fightful and Fightful Select. I'm not being cheap.
Look at him. Bill, did you see what he just did?
I
just know that somebody's going to be dropping some info at the 9th hour. And thing.
Good for you.
Listen, stay tuned everywhere else too, because all the BS sites are going to rip it right off. I mean, I'm just saying, the news is going to be
clearly stated. A walking SpongeBob meme. Motherfucker.
Pure disrespect.
Okay, all right, screw it. Bill, you want to explain what clearly stated means? You want here, I'll give you the solo of the screen here to go into what is going on with clearly stated.
I'm not giving that.
Don't give him the time.
I'm not giving that fucking mouth breather any more time than I already have.
That's it for me. I got what I wanted out of this.
Except this. That is what I think of that situation. It is clearly stated what I think of that situation.
Clearly stated.
That's our boss. That is our boss.
Again, I work for some great places. It's an amazing time to just BS with your friends and talk wrestling. That's it for me. Follow me on Twitter at DeFelice. Dominic, you got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, 2 Dynamite Dudes with Marcus, my degenerate brother Marcus, on Fridays. We recap AEW. I do Meet the Wrestler. I recorded an episode with Moonshine Mantell. That'll be episode 3 of Meet the Wrestler. Also be on the lookout for one of my favorite interviews that we covered, Pain and Passion, the book about Stampede Wrestling that came out. Wow, it's like 15 years ago now. But me and the author, Eva Marie, break it down and talk all things about Stampede Wrestling. So if you're into the early days of Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Dynamite Kid, British Bulldog, Jim the Anvil, the list goes on and on of different stars that rotate on through there. Learn about the Hart family. Really fascinating, over an hour conversation that me and Heath McCoy share. So that should be
how many stories about them keeping a bear underneath their porch?
There's some talk about that. Yeah. There's also talk. There's a great story about a Darlene that you'll learn about. That's very, very fascinating. So
the misbehaving daughter from Roseanne?
No. This is a very different Darlene. Well, also misbehaving.
Likeable Darlene.
Yes. So those are the things I got cooking right now. Yep, and I'll also do recaps for MLW Fusion every week. So you'll see those on that website, and you'll also see them on WrestleZone.com too.
Of course, you follow him on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo, and he's dunking on fools left and right there too.
I do my part.
He's doing his clearly stated as well. If it needs to be. And Bill, outside of you just bulldozing fools upon the internet, you are the ship here at WrestleZone. If they want to follow you on Twitter, where do they go?
Pritchard 152. I don't know. Come talk about SpongeBob meme, the interviews we got going on, anything we talked about here.
We have Chris Jericho coming to the maybe up, right?
Chris Jericho interview coming up, probably tentatively launching it next Wednesday, and then 2 best for the business features and maybe some more surprises. But
yeah, if you're with us here 55 minutes in, you've listened, you've watched. I know I talk to everybody all the time. I'm so thankful of you guys watching and listening to WrestleZone. You have a lot of options, especially now. We talk about all the different streaming services and how so much stuff gets blasted at you 24 hours with breaking news and content you can watch and people telling you to watch this. You watched us. You spent an hour with us, and I don't have to speak for everybody. We're very grateful of that. We're very, very grateful for that, especially now when we spend so much time with screens. This was fun. And if you had fun listening to this, you're on the virtual couch with us. Come and hang out during the Yumble. We're going to be doing a post show. Come out. Let's learn your names. You know what I mean? When we can get back at the shows, let's buy a beer and, say some smarky shit in the back of the room. All right. That's what WrestleZone's about. It is about fun and getting verified information from the right sources and fun wrestling content. Thank you so much for supporting us. And obviously a very challenging year and the challenging times ahead. Give us a follow, by the way. You want to win these action figures, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan? We're going to announce those Sunday night during the post show. Follow us on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. On Facebook, if you're already seeing us there, like us, follow. Zuckerberg wants you to do another thing where we have to do this extra hoop to make sure you see our streams and stuff like that too. And if you like the show, share it with other friends. It really, really helps us out. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Dominic, it doesn't have to be an old man. All right. It doesn't have to be a young man. All right, I don't know who's in the ring. They don't have to have gray hair and be Goldberg putting on the boots for one more day. Wow, look at that old man being virile and exciting you. But Dominic, when you're watching wrestling, you're watching the Rumble, you're betting on it on Sunday night. What are you supposed to do when you watch wrestling?
From kids to 1 to 92, you enjoy it.
Clearly stated.